Collective, you and your partner, when they were living, you shared a love so passionate and so intense that even after their transition, you both have been struggling to let each other go. Okay. This is a very different read than what I usually do. Actually, this is the first time I've brought any element of my mediumship to the channel. Okay. So I'm kind of blending two different giftings here, divination. Um, I do ancestral channelings, though. I do that quite often, have done it quite often, but this is different. This is different, and as we get into it, you will see why. First off, let me start by saying my condolences to whoever this message is for. It is a very specific message, and I'm going to give you some very specific details that may reverberate. Okay. The love between you and this partner that has now transitioned, is no longer with you here in the 3D, was very passionate, very loving, very caring. um the love you shared with this person was admirable, probably by many people who knew the both of you. Okay, you are showing up, collective, as the woman holding a coin. Okay, there's something it feels like you are working on. Okay, as you have continued to pick up the pieces and move forward with your life, you've gone through your grieving process, or you're still going through it because it's it's not linear either. You know what I'm saying? Like time. So, um, but there seems to be something here that you are nurturing creatively. There's something you're working on creatively. Okay. Now, I don't normally get spiritualists or witchy vibes from the Queen of Pentacles. I have heard people reference it as also, a witch. She is a manipulator. She is a manifester. So not manipulator in the negative unless she's in the reverse and you didn't show up in that negative lower vibration of manipulation, but manipulation as manifestation, manifester. She can often be a masterful manifester. If you look at this card, you'll see the black cat. Okay. So there's something very mysterious about you, and you do seem to dabble in what some would say is witchcraft, right? But not nearly as much as the Queen of Wands. That's what that's giving me. Okay. There is something you are working on, and as you're working on it, it is actually blossoming and taking off for you. Is there is expansion here. There's a blossoming abundance. Something is blooming in your life, financially, creatively, through your self-expression, through your manifestations. I'm going to really take my time with this one because it's a bit of a sensitive subject, because I'm dealing with a transitioned loved one, but I have to, the message came, and so I have to work it. All right. We also have caring connection, caring connections. Okay. If it feels like though you in this is a woman who has lost a husband or a long-term male partner. Okay, very specific reading. If that does not reverberate for you and you are here to watch and just spend some time with your girl, it's all good. Okay, but this is a very specific message. Okay, so you are here nurturing in the third dimension. You are still here in the earth. You are still producing. You are still living your life. And there is this blossoming abundance as you have been working towards some sort of goal here. You've been nurturing something, you've been manifesting something. It feels like it has to do with finances for sure. This doesn't feel spiritual or energetic, like abundance in energy. This feels financial. very financial. It feels like you also may be feeling like you are ready to date or you are ready to find love again after losing your spouse. And I am not sure how long, your spouse or your partner, boyfriend, whatever it was, um, whoever he was, has transitioned. But it feels like you are maybe ready to look into the idea of opening up yourself to a new love connection. Okay. But this caring connection is also giving me that this is still the energy between you and your deceased partner. You still very much care for each other. Okay. Now, your partner who has transitioned is showing up as a man holding a heart. Okay. So this, even in transition, your transition partner is very much still in love with you and very much holding on to the love that you gave and the love that he experienced with you. Okay. Now, how I know that this is a transitioned spouse partner, okay, is because clarifying the man holding the heart, we have the world. All right. So then we have door to spirit. This male partner has transitioned. Okay. They are no longer with you in the physical. Now, to my right here, I have Angel of Balance. And I'm getting a couple of different things from this card alone. So I'm going to try to remember all of the things because I've been kind of sitting with these cards for a minute. I take divination and mediumship, really mediumship. If any of that was to come online in this reading, I wanted to be prepared for it because I take that very seriously. All right. Now we have Journey. Okay. Journey. And we have Happy Family. And we have Door to Romance. Now, from these four cards came out before the man holding the heart, the world, the door to spirit. And I was like, Spirit, what is this? Because the woman holding the coin, the blossoming romance, the caring connection came out as the collective's energy. I asked, what is in the collective's energy? What is the foundation of the collective's energy? What energy is the collective holding? And those three cards came out. And I said, now what is crossing the collective? And I got the Angel of Balance, Journey, Happy Family, Daughter Romance. And I was like, well, that's not really crossing. What is this? Is this new love? Is what I thought it was. So then I said, okay, let me pull some more cards. And I asked Spirit, what is these four cards saying? And then that is when the transitioned spouse showed up. Okay. I said, oh, okay. Okay. So the Angel of Balance is giving me, first thing it gave me was that this transition partner still very much watching over you. Okay. um in a very almost present way, as if there may be moments where their energy literally feels with you, like you physically feel them with you. And that's what I mean by presence. Like, this is not like a transitioned ancestor whom, may come in and, like, mess around with the lights or clank some pots and stuff together so they there, or whatever signs you get from an ancestor. This is this person's energy, if you want to say ghostly, you know, um it kind of has that presence to where even though they have transitioned, they still very feel very much with you physically. Okay. And that is because they are intensely watching you. Okay. They are intensely watching you. They are intensely watching over you. That is the first interpretation I got from Spirit for the Angel of Balance. The second interpretation that I got from the Angel of Balance is the energy of Mayat. Okay. It's like Mayat is the energy of the mother, the goddess energy of death and rebirth. She is from the Egyptian pantheon, and she kind of is the goddess, the mother, the feminine energy of death and rebirth, and she is the one that aids in the crossing over of souls. Okay, so her energy is showing up in play in the connection between yourself and this transitioned loved one. And why that is because this card, the journey card, immediately gave me crossroads. Immediately, when you look at the post here with the direction signs, which way to go. But what stood out to me the most, if you can see closely, the lady on the bridge, she is holding something in her hand that she clearly needs to release. How I know she needs to release it is because she also has this baggage here. Okay, this baggage, this luggage, this thing that she is holding in her hand is symbolic for this luggage that she is carrying on this bridge. And she needs to release the luggage, the baggage, in order for her to cross over. Okay. Your partner who has transitioned has not crossed over. Okay. And I don't know how long they've been, deceased, but they haven't crossed over. Now, they haven't crossed over because they're really still holding on to you and possibly your children. You could have two children, a boy and a girl, more or more. All right, but this is the family. This is um, he's not trying to. You see how they're pulling, but yet they're holding to each other. The energy between you and your partner and possibly your children as well. There's like we're distant, but we're not releasing each other. And so that would be fine if your partner hadn't already left the physical world. When our loved ones leave the physical world, there's a point where we have to release, because if we don't, if we hold on to them, or if they hold on to us, though they are in spirit, though they have walked out of the 3D world and into the door of spirit, if they're still tangibly, like not even tangibly, but like intensely holding on to the energies, then they cannot cross over into the afterlife, right? Now, we also have the door to romance. So your partner is not crossing over because they are still holding on to the family unit, the idea of the family unit, the idea of you and their children as family. But more importantly, they're still holding on to you in a romantic way. Okay. And the idea of family is not so problemsome, but the holding on to you in a romantic way, that that can be problemsome. Okay. That can be problemsome. Now, I feel like this is why Mayat is coming in, because it's time for your loved one to cross over. This happy family card, Spirit was saying to me, is not only just the holding on between you, your transition partner, your children, your family unit, holding on to each other energetically, but this is also that there are other family members of your deceased partner that are waiting on him on the other side. Okay. So this is why it's like it's time. That's what I'm getting. You know, there's a point when we transition, and as a medium, if you're wanting to know how I know, it's because I'm a medium, and in being a medium, you learn things because you experience the crossroads, you experience the symbology of the crossroads, you experience what makes a soul, a spirit, not cross over and go into the afterlife, right? And so there comes a point when you transition where you may kind of stay in the spirit realm of earth, okay? And you may visit family, you may, we all have, I won't say we all, but most of you may have experienced certain phenomenon happening when a loved one crosses over. You know what I mean? Some strange stuff can happen when a loved one crosses over and they're still in the energy, and so they send signs that they're okay, that they see you, that they're watching you, that they're there, right? But then there comes a point where they should transition fully, and they should cross over into an adjacent realm, okay, called the afterlife, okay? So there are family members of your loved one that has transitioned, that is waiting for your loved one on the other side of the crossroads. I feel like this is why Mayat is coming in. It kind of feels like with this door to romance and the holding on to the idea. And I feel like this may be mutual, because that's also giving me the angel of balance. This is a mutual thing. Like, I don't know if in your communication with the energy or the spirit of your spouse who has transitioned, there's like this spiritual agreement. Um, I'm also picking up the energy of a urn. So I don't know if your spouse was cremated and you have an urn. Um, and maybe you speak, or you use that urn as a symbol to communicate. Show you again the urn in her hand. That's what that's giving me now. Okay, so take it how it reverberates. May not be the case. Doesn't have to be. Um, but it feels like it may have been like a spiritually, charged agreement that your transition spouse would kind of watch over you, would keep an eye on you. Like I said, you may use the urn as an icon to communicate with your spouse's energy. Now, at one point as I was looking at the cards, and I look back just now at the journey card, and I see again this thing that she is holding in her hand, and she needs to release it. It kind of looks like the urn. It has the same color scheme, same illumination, not shaped quite the same, but the same. Okay. And so this is like a mutual releasing. It's a mutual holding on, and it's a mutual releasing, that the mother is ready to help both of you accomplish. Okay. Now, when I said, well, Spirit, what is all of this? What is really going on here? Okay. The issue, if you will, or the challenge in this dynamic is that your transition spouse needs to go and rest. Okay. And so rest comes not at the crossroad. Okay. Rest comes when they cross over, and they can go into rest and be rejuvenated. Okay. This is why this is showing up, because there is a cord. There's a cord that, not in the familiar way, not in the happy family way, not in the way of you and your kids still remembering and venerating and honoring your transition spouse or partner, but in this romantic vein. The energy of the romance is what's really keeping the spouse from moving on. Okay. What I'm seeing here is that you may be ready for dating. You may be dating, or there is a caring connection that is being prepared for you. But with the spouse's energy still so romantically charged, romantically active in your energy, it's going to impede. Okay. And so there could have been a erroneous agreement as you being um the wife or the partner of this transition, you're very familiar with their energy. You love them, even though they're not in body. You still very much love them. You still very much remember them. I mean, even though you may be ready for dating, right? It's not like nobody's going to ever be able to replace this man ever. But you also know that you have a life to live. So erroneously, you may have come into a romantic kind of like almost like a spirit spouse energy. Okay. Um, Now what spirit is saying, and I'm going to pull from this other deck, but I was pulling from the bottom deck of these same cards. There is an imbalance. This is why Mayat is here. There's either an imbalance or an actual injustice that is taking place with the energy of the deceased spouse, which may be intentional or not intentional. Okay, take it how it reverberates. And that takes me back to this slight witchiness of this Queen of Pentacles. Because you may be using the spouse's energy to manifest money and love. And that's an injustice. Okay. It's an injustice when the other witches do it. It's an injustice when folks go to the graveyard and conjure up people, deceased people. It's an injustice, all right? Not only that, but the energy that I first got from this card is that when we transition out of the body, the romantic, the romantic energy we walk away from. Now we remain familiar, and then we say, okay, that's an ancestor, that's my ancestor, that's my aunt, that's my dad. But when there's a romantic connection, like a spouse, that romantic connection is severed when they walk away or when one of the spouses leave the body. Okay. Um, this is where the imbalance is coming because either mutually or this is the transition spouse who is really still viewing you through the eyes of romance. Like they haven't at all let go of your energy as being the husband they were, as being the lover they were, as being the provider they were, as being like the one to rub your feet, you know what I mean? Like they haven't at all let go of that at all. And this is why this message is coming up, because there is a release that you are being asked to help your partner accomplish so they can go to rest. Okay. um so this is either one or the both. This is you may be thinking that it is perfectly okay because this is your guy. You know, this is your man, this is your baby, this is your boo. I mean, of course he'll help me get some money, of course he'll help me find new love, of course. But that's not what you want to do. That's not how you, from the realm of an ancestor. Yes. From the realm of the energy of familia. Yes. You can acknowledge them. You can make sure you leave, your ancestral offerings if you're into that kind of thing. Which this one holding the coin, it kind of tells me that you may be. But that romantic vein, that heart, that kind of love there is actually going to be problematic. Now, that function, that husbandry, no, that is left behind when, and I'm trying to say this as sensitively as possible, because you end up with a spirit spouse and then you may be questioning why you can't find an actual 3D partner, or why every time you get a 3D partner something goes crazy, because the energy of your romance with your deceased partner is still prevalent in the energy. And so any energy, let's for instance, if your deceased partner was living, would they have been okay with you going out on the town, finding another man, bringing them back to the house, and saying, okay, this is my second husband, this is my next husband, this is my next boyfriend? Unless you had one of them non-traditional where it's like open door sesame thing, and I'm not picking that up here, but that could be the case. Um, but traditionally speaking, it's a negative. Under no circumstances would you have been able, if they were living in body, to just be out sharing your love and your body and your energy with other men. And so what has to be kind of like remembered is that they are still the same essence of themselves, even though they're no longer in body. And so if they're holding on to you romantically, then you may be thinking that they will help you find new love, but uh-uh, not really. It's not for sure that they're going to do that, because they are still in the energy of you being theirs. And that's how you end up with a spirit spouse. And that's how you end up with an energy swirling around you where you can't never find nobody. Nobody wants to stay around. Like there's like this energy of competition of another man, but another man is not there. So when men come into your life, they feel like they in competition with another man, but the man is not there in physical. Okay. Spirit of Mayat is saying to me before I click record that when we leave the body or when we cross through the first gate, the contracts of romance are broken. They're severed. Okay. They're severed. You're not going to be in the afterlife as husband and wife, as boo things. You know what I mean? You may be in the afterlife as familiar, though, because that is the cord that you share, but not romantic partners the way we experience each other here. So if you have a transition partner that is still holding on to that energy, it's like they have you have their heart in a cage and they have your heart in a cage romantically. Okay. So there is a need to aid your transition spouse, partner, lover. Um, this is not a transitioned uncle or dad. This is a love relationship where someone has lost their spouse. So I also want to reiterate that if that does not fit your narrative, then you are more than welcome to stay around and enjoy the reading, or just, watch the reading. Um, but that is a very specific thing. So it's not the possibilities that could is it the possibilities that it could be my sister? No, it's not the possibilities that it could be your sister. Okay. It's just romantic. All right. We have door to adjacent possibilities. When I picked up this card and I saw this card, I said, okay, this goes back to the woman holding the coin and the witchy vibes and the urn. um you may be thinking that it is spiritually okay to use your spouse's energy to open and close doors for you. And Mayat is saying it's not okay. The divine is saying it's not okay. It's not okay when the other ones do it. It's not just because this is this was your earthly spouse. It's not okay for you to put their or utilize their spiritual and soul energy that way, because at the spirit and soul level they're not contracted to you. Okay. They're not contracted to you the way that they were contracted to you as married couple. You know what I mean? And I'm really strongly picking up this is a spouse, right? Like this is not just a boyfriend, but it could be, right? Because it doesn't have to necessarily be that you walk down the aisle and everything and that's how you ended up married. Some people marry in a whole lot of different ways, non-traditional ways, but it's marriage regardless. So that can definitely be the case, but it's like spirit is wanting someone to know that um the romantic contract is broken, and that needs to be respected at the spirit and soul level, and the spirit and soul of your spouse needs to be allowed to go rest. So they need to be nudged into resting. Now, you may not even know that they are not actually crossed over. And so, and the reason why I say that is because I said, okay, spirit, I pulled another deck. I got another deck. I said, what is this really? Because I just wanted to, you know what I mean? I just wanted to be sure. And um, the first card that came out was the Five of Pentacles, okay? The Eight of Cups, and the Seven of Swords. And this Seven of Swords, the way she is kind of looking through that gate, that door, is giving me these doors. I don't know if you think that your spouse has crossed over. I don't know if you are aware of how right in your energy they are. Like they're not crossed over. They may also be feeling a little bit left out in the cold, like they are having a hard time with the fact that they are no longer physically with you and your family. So they keep returning. They keep coming back in. Like they're traversing these doors. And I don't know if you have been hearing doors close and creak and stuff like that. That could be a sign for somebody that reverberates. But it's like they keep returning back to your energy. Now, the Seven of Swords does give a little bit of a sneaky vibe, but I don't know if there's necessarily a sneakiness about it. It just feels like they are having a hard time letting go. And so they keep coming back into your actual like energy field. Okay. The other cards that came out when I was asked, I said, Spirit, okay, tell me some more, was the Ace of Swords in reverse, the Moon, and the reverse Sun. And not only have they they not crossed over, but with this reverse Ace of Swords, they're not even trying to. They don't want to cross over. They're secretly not even trying to go towards the light at all. So I'm feeling it like it's like this is the energy that they're in. And so if you are using the urn or an urn or any energy, or if you are like asking them to assist you with stuff, then you doing that is further fortifying their desire to not cross over. And I think that that's where this imbalance, and it's like Maya wants to, or an angel is here to bring balance to the energy of your spouse that may be in an urn. Doesn't have to be though. Okay, because they're stuck at the crossroads, and there's this is like divine timing. This is the time. If they stay too long, then it gets that much more difficult, and then they become intranquil. They become a spirit and a soul that can't find rest. So when we're doing things, when we're talking about our loved ones, we have to know how to, yes, venerate them, but we don't hold their energy. So this transition could be very recent, where it's still kind of fresh. Um, not like last week or so. It's been long enough for like some sort of a order between you and the energy of your deceased spouse to kind of be put in place. Because I am picking up the energy of like working with the deceased spouse energy to make sure that you get the love you want. You find a love connection, that's right for you, or the love connection that maybe they see as right for you. And then there's the working you're doing, the nurturing you're doing on whatever creative project, business, work endeavors, money, finances. So if it's giving me that there is some working with the spouse's energy, but that's hazardous. That's problematic. And it's also giving that someone is not really witchy, okay? So you may not know the depth of the imbalance that you're creating, okay? Or that you're participating in, because your spouse here is kind of stubbornly not wanting to go towards the light, because to them, they ain't leaving you. They ain't left you. They just ain't in the physical, but they ain't left you. You still very much they woman and my woman. Okay. And that ain't the way it work in death. You know, that's not the way it works in death. At the spirit and soul level, that's not the way it works. Okay. Now we have action in reverse. Something, confirmation, confirmation. I ain't even got it out yet. And that lets me know this is mutual, because it was two of them, two dings. There's some sort of going in and out of doors with, or opening and closing doors for you. If there's any actions that you have been taking to use your spouse's energy to open and close doors for you, this action card says that needs to come to a stop. That needs to come to a stop. Okay. They have transitioned. And so there's no more Bonnie and Clyde really like that. Like, and I'm trying to be very gentle, but actually be honest as possible and not sugarcoat it, because this is why I don't bring mediumship to the channel, not yet anyway, is because in doing the work and working specifically with spirits who are stuck at the crossroads. And I'm not talking about been deceased a week and need some help. I'm talking about been there 30 years, 30 years stuck. And then dealing with deceased spirits where people are working with those spirits. So even if they wanted to cross over, even if they were ready, they have been enslaved by some witch or warlock. And so they've been stuck for out of their own will now. You understand what I'm saying? Working with that kind of energy, yeah, nah. Everything has a right to evolution. Everything. And sometimes people transition and it's sudden, it's not expected, they're not prepared for it, they were not ready to go. And so they transition out of the body with a sense of abandoning the people they love. And they have to, this is where we come in to work with their energy, so we let them know that we are okay, that they can go and find rest. Like, go cross over, you got your grandma over there, Nana over there, she waiting on you. I'm okay, I'm gonna be okay. This is why we do that, because they leave in the energy of like, fuck, You know what I mean? Like, my kids. And I don't, wish that on anybody, but that's life and death, right? Or they leave violently. And so no, they're not at rest. They either want justice, they want help. They stick around long enough for whoever did whatever to them to be found out by the investigator, like they you know what I mean, like, and then they can move on. They may not get justice, and so then they're stuck. And then a medium like myself who knows how to work with that kind of energy can help them cross over, but it may be years that they've been there, wandering, wandering up and down railroad tracks, in and out of post offices. All of these are symbols for the crossroads. Okay, so any mutual using the energy of your transitioned spouse to open and close doors from you, once they cross over, then you can venerate, then you can, because they'll be in a whole different energy. Trust me, they'll be in a whole different energy, and it puts a etheric distance between the two of you that shifts the energy between the two of you so that it's not so cloakish. You know what I mean? Their energy is not so strong, but yet you do have access to them as family, as familiar love, as an ancestor, as a spouse that has crossed over, that is no longer my spouse, but that's my ancestor. Okay, by way of the fact that we created children together, or we've been together 50 years. That's very much an ancestor. Not every ancestor has you share blood with. So there's a shift that needs to take place. It doesn't say that they will not be able to make sure you are protected, or make sure they will, but as an ancestor, not as your husband, not interfering in your life as a husband interferes in the life of a wife, or I said it right, interferes, and whether it is by force or whether it is by embrace and acceptance on the behalf of the wife. But that's what we do when we get in relationships. Like, we talk, we chop it up. What, babe, what you think I should do? Oh, okay, nah, no, 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 no. Yeah, you're probably right. Okay, boom. And so I don't mean interfere in the way like getting in your way. I mean, like, they help you navigate life. They're a life partner. Okay, life partner. This romantic energy is really loud because spirit is wanting somebody to know that this is the energy that your spouse is still sitting in, although they're not in the body, and this is the part that needs to change. Okay, they were your life partner, but when you separate in the body in life, that changes. It changes, but someone has not changed. Someone is could be the both of you, has not really changed the idea of that. Okay, of you being each other, that to each other. Well, you can't be it to them. So that means that there's this idea of them being your life partner, them possibly being your lover, that in separation someone is not wanting to release, or both of you is not wanting to release. And so therefore this spouse, for whom this reverberates with, they can't cross over because they're still magnetized to your energy. The mysteries of life, a major change, personal power. Personal power is what I meant by every living being, you know, whether in body or not, has a right to personal power. If it doesn't feel problematic now, it may be because you may be lacking the wisdom of understanding that it is problematic. That your deceased partner is still viewing you through the eyes of being your husband romantically. That magnetism, and you may in some ways speak of them that way, and it's okay as long as they're crossed over, but they're not crossed over, so that charges the energy. I hope I'm making sense. That charges the energy differently. And so you need to now stand in your personal power. um and there needs to be a major change as it relates to the relationship between you as a physical being and your partner as now a spirit being. We have woman holding the heart. So now we have the man holding the heart. Now we have the woman holding the heart. They have your heart and you have theirs romantically. Okay? Not just as familiar. That's not where the problem is. All right. But you know that this man loves you. And so again, this may be why you might be thinking that it is okay to work with his energy to open and close doors for you as it relates to finance and it relates to you manifesting new love. But you leaving him in the darkness, and the longer he stays in that darkness, his energy is going to be changed by the darkness, just like his energy would be changed by the light. And that darkness ain't so cute. An energy that went from being my loving husband is now problematic because you just getting in the way of shit that I ain't asked you to get in. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're charging it. It's just like it's you know it's just like how demons come to be demons. And I'm not saying, I'm not making that, I'm using it as an example. I'm not saying your husband is a demon. I'm saying this is how they are created. This is how spirits that don't cross over become intranquil because they can't find rest. And you know how you are when you ain't slept and you haven't had peace and you haven't had rest. Imagine being in a spiritual space where there's no like there's no time to say, oh, it's time to go to bed. So you just wander. Eventually, a spirit of a spouse that was sweet and that was working with me and stuff, all of a sudden is cranky and mad. After about 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years of being in that darkness, you're gonna be dealing with a cranky, mad spirit of a spouse because they can't find no rest. So working with their energies to open doors or to manifest new love and stuff may seem like a good idea right now. But what you're doing is you're holding them back from the light, from healing, from the space of rest, so that they can restart their next journey, whatever that's going to be. They can sit with whomever they're going to go sit with and get rest and rejuvenation. Okay? So, um, what I say right now is the truth. Okay, we have the deceit card here, and I don't maybe think that someone who reverberates with this, you weren't trying to be deceitful. I'm not getting Wicked Witch of the West vibes. I just think maybe there is a truth about balance that you may not quite understand yet because you haven't quite come into the high priestess energy for yourself. Okay, so there is a solar plexus energy. This is reverse solar plexus. This is a reverse sacral. This is all about your personal power. So you are a manifester, and you may be unintentionally, in a non-deceitful way, in a non, you know, toxic way, evil or wicked. I'm not picking anything like that up, but you may be thinking that it's okay to use, but it's also robbing you of discovering the balance between your light and darkness, and you moving yourself into an upright high priestess where you can create, manifest, and use your sexual power to bring forth whatever it is you need. You don't necessarily need to, like, I have my ancestors. All I do with my ancestors is venerate them. I rarely even ask an ancestor to protect me. I don't ask them to do work. They do it anyway, but I don't be like conjuring up my ancestors to be doing stuff. That's not what they supposed to be doing. Not in my book. In my book, they supposed to be resting. Okay? And that's what I want them to do. I'm gonna be down here doing the work to help them elevate. I'm not asking them to go do my bidding, but they gonna do it anyway. They ain't gonna leave me out. You know what I'm saying? And I guess that's the relationship, and that's the spiritual order of it that I understand. Okay, but some people don't, and they abuse being able to get spirits to do things for you. But that's also why they in the up under judgment most of the time. Okay, so there's a high priestess in you that you need to step into for yourself through your own personal power, and using your deceased spouse's energy to kind of open up some doors, because you know that they'll do it. You know that they're very much still with you. You know that they very much still love you. There's a lot of love between the two of you. You know that this is like Bonnie and Clyde energy in life and in death. But in death, things change. In death, it has to be done a certain way or it creates injustices. There's an attachment here that needs to be um, cut and let go. And it may have a lot to do with grief and heartbreak. This your spouse is we have the man holding the coin now. So see y'all both in the upright, and both and all four y'all are both. Now we getting some reverse energies. So let's not there are cards here in the reverse energy, but the y'all energy is in mutual. It's both upright, which lets me know that this is a running thing in y'all connection. Even though they have left the 3D reality, they're in spirit. There's an attachment to the broken heart that you have because they are mm, the attachment is the broken heart that you both have because he is gone in the physical. So you are brokenhearted in his absence, and he is brokenhearted at the crossroad because of his absence in the physical. And so to keep this heart from leaking and um having to really accept this, you both find comfort in the way the connection is right now. But in the long run, it's going to uh it could very much keep you from elevating and him too. We have the thinking man here in the reverse. So there is something that you may be into now spiritually. There is something that because I am picking up witchy vibes from this woman holding a coin. There may be some spiritual practices and things that you are into that he may not have known much about when he was living, and maybe you didn't when he was living. I don't know when you got involved in, being more spiritual and developing that, and maybe that's what you're nurturing. Maybe you're nurturing some sort of a spiritual business or practice. But he may not know much about that. And we have magician and the mirror. Mm. I'm gonna wrap this up. Let me get some more energy, spirit, before I go. What is that magician in the mirror? There may be times when you think like you could be in the house or riding in the car or whatever, like in a place where you and your spouse frequented, and you may get a glance and you could have swore you saw him there. You could walk past a mirror in the house and you could swore you saw him there. You did. You did. That's how right up in your energy that he is. I mean, right up in your energy, babes. Okay? He's not separated. He's not crossed over. Resurrect, get to the heart of it, do or die you must. Pluto here. All right. So, um something about Mercury, Virgo energy, communication. I don't know if he was a Virgo or if this is the Mercury energy. There's communication, a conversation of release, like in love. Spirit is asking someone to ask your transition spouse to cross over. And it's not that they're going to be any less available to you. It's just it's going to write something so that they don't get stuck wandering, and both of you are not it's a yeah. Yeah. It's time. It's a healing connection that it can move into. And right now it feels very, and it's a word I'm trying to come up with when I keep saying that. Right now it feels very sensual. uh I'm hearing tantric. uh I'm hearing tantric. Marriage. What about it? So that confirms that I am speaking to somebody whose husband has crossed over. Time apart. Dreams come true. If you want some things to come true for you, love, um you have to let go. You have to get him to let go. You have to let the separation be, because it is. Gift. Mm. I'm trying so hard not to be up on here crying because the emotions is starting to workplace romance. He will do anything you ask him to do as a spirit being. He will do anything you ask him to do. Um, but that's where it could get dangerous. It could get both of you in some very hot water with the divine. And so spirituality to ultimately experience, trusting your psychic knowledge of, resulting from the indecision of or about Pisces. Have faith in, do not worry about. Now is the time, North Node. Now is the time for your spouse to cross over. Libra, Libra, balancing the scales. Something is going to balance out for you that you may need not even foresee because this feels comfortable. This feels good. This keeps my heart from feeling like it's so broken because he's gone, you know. But some things are going to balance, resulting from the fairness shown by Libra. And so right now, Mayat is still trying to aid him. This tells me he had a good heart, a really good heart, was a good person. Not perfect probably, but a good person. But his love for you is putting him in that, like, okay, stay too long and it's heavy, and the heavier it gets, it's like that portal, that light closes. There's some good fortune and some blessings that are going to come towards you, okay? But the romantic energy between you and your spouse has to be friend zoned. You have to see them as your friend, maybe as a family member, as an ancestor, yes. We have Capricorn here, dedication to achieve, focusing on, they're still going to be dedicated to helping you, but from a different vibration, from a different vibration, not one that causes karma, not one that causes, and you can cause a spirit to pick up karma while they are out of the body. Again, which is why when people have spirits run around doing unjust things towards people, it's so catastrophic because you just caused a spirit in the spirit realm to pick up karma that they didn't have to have. And they clearly already have some else that would have been already crossed over. So it's just you just compiling on negative energy onto a spirit. Not that, but they will still be there to guide you, to aid you. Your spouse will still be there to make sure you have good success and to watch over you. But just they need help. They need your help crossing over. They're materially attached to you in the material world. And that's where it needs to change into friendly support, like a spouse that is my spirit guide. But this spouse who I'm speaking to, your spouse, is attached to you spiritually and physically, your material, your matter, the matter of you, the body of you, the physical life of you, you know. And so, main male, he ain't trying to, if you trying to manifest love, and if his energy has made you feel like he gonna help you manifest love, I'm sorry that I'm not trying to be like, offending anyone, and I hope this message is not offending anyone, because I'm not saying it from that. I'm just saying that your husband fucking love you. He loved you in life, and he has not crossed over because he's carrying that, and he probably either wasn't expecting for y'all time to be cut short like this, But he the main male, baby. He ain't really, high honor, message in reverse. And that might be something he ain't told you. He ain't told you that message. There is a physical longing for each other. That's definitely natural. Um all right, I did channel some things and then I'm gonna go. I channeled some names. So I heard Vernon, Warren, Egan, and then I heard just names that could end with Ren, like Ian, Warren, Vernon. I heard Sheldon, um, Tony, Jace or Jason, and then I heard after Jason, excuse me, I heard the word captain, and then I heard Capleton. And how I heard Capleton, because back in the day, I don't know, somewhere in the 90s, there was like this Jamaican song that crossed over. And I don't know if this is a Jamaican American artist or if it's a Jamaican artist. I'm not really a big reggae fan. I listen to it every now and then when I want to feel a little islandish, but I don't really, because I don't know what they be saying. And so, I listen to it sometimes though, because some things I do know they be saying and it be real powerful. But there was a song, if y'all remember back in the day, and it had this one part, and I don't know if it was in the beginning of the song or in the end or where it was, but the artist said Capotan, 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 and I heard that and I'm like, that was a Jamaican artist, Capotan, Capotan, and it's like I don't know the rest of the song. I only heard that part. So I looked up Capleton. I didn't spell it right, but Google knew what I was talking about. And so it came up Jamaican artist, Clifton George, real name Clifton George or something like that. Um, and so what jumped out at me was the Jamaican artist. So so your spouse could have been Jamaican, or you are Jamaican. Y'all both could be Jamaican. Y'all could have went to Jamaica. Maybe that was where your honeymoon was. That may be a reference. That I mean, maybe y'all like reggae music. I don't know. Okay, take that how that reverberates, fam. Um, Now when I was reading about the Capleton, the artist, Clifton George Bailey the third, 1967. Um, I was reading down here and it where was it? Fire. Uh Capleton uses the word fire. Um Captain. Wow. I didn't even see that. Captain. It originated historically, the name Capleton. It originated historically as a habitational or locational name derived from places in Britain such as Captain. Hmm. Could have been British. There it is. The artist known by monikers like the Fireman. And when I saw the word fireman, I thought about the captain. And that made me think of firefighter. So I don't know if your spouse was a firefighter, if they were a captain over a firehouse, or of any of that reverberates, but take it how it reverberates, okay? I also heard the name Rick, Ricky, Chance, Lance, or any name ending in ants, like Terrence. Okay. Anything else, spirit? Um, I need to see what actions does the collective who may reverberate with this message? caring connection. Reassess. Reassess. Connect to intuition. Release judgment. Holding on to judgment, whether of yourself or others, only clouds your vision. Release it and see the world and your path with clearer eyes. Mm. The release judgment card is kind of giving me maybe you are still kind of in the phase of grief, of trying to figure out what the hell, why. Resolution. Whether it is that you've been struggling, whatever it is that you've been struggling with is about to be resolved. Remember that resolutions don't always happen in the way we hope or want, but being able to move forward and start fresh always brings relief. So, something is going to be resolved as you release your spouse's energy and you ask them to release your energy. You let them know, you reassure them that it's okay for them to cross. Are you going to be okay? Right? Solitude, courageous heart. You may need to speak to the courage because they may be afraid to as well. I've dealt with that in transitioning souls. Bravery. hmm this feels like a mutual conversation, like the resolution, the bravery, the releasing of the judgment is a mutual conversation that maybe can be had between the two of you, that will help you both release each other and be brave in doing it, knowing that they're still there. You know what I'm saying? It's just the nature of the energy needs to change, and in order for that change to take place, the spirit, the spouse who has transitioned needs to cross over into the afterlife. You are being asked to make a tough decision that you've been putting off because of fear, which is understandable. But you do have the strength and bravery to make this decision, and you will feel so much lighter when you do. Wow. Detach. Woo. Man holding a coin. That's where this landed. Detach. You're being asked to detach from something that you've been holding on to. When we hold on too tightly to the desired outcome, it restricts the flow. Trust that the outcome will work out and let go of your attachment to it. So there is a detachment that needs to take place. And you're going to find the warrior spirit in you, okay, as you let it go. All right. All right, I know that this was a long one, longer than usual, but I wanted to take my time and be very sensitive about how I deliver it and make sure I say everything that Spirit wanted to say. Please do not hesitate to let me know in the comments how this message reverberated for you, fam. Like, share, hype it up if you have one to spare. It could be anybody that needs to hear this, okay? So, if anybody's in need of a personal reading, um, the link is in the description, all right? You can click it, it'll take you to my website where you can book and I will get it done for you. Make sure you scroll down to the middle of the page and you achieve and accomplish both steps, making the payment and sending me your request of what you would like me to read. All right, that'll make sure you get your reading done and get it back to you in a timely fashion. Okay, I love you guys. I appreciate everyone who um rocked out with me through this reading. This was kind of tough for me, you know what I'm saying? But it feels emotionally charged. Like the energy is still very very raw, but it's time for someone's spouse to transition while that portal, that sun, that light is available and open to them. The longer they stay, it closes because their energy gets denser. So I'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace, family.